Okay. Greetings, everybody. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you had a good spring break. Because unfortunately, break time is over. It's going to be a fairly hectic week. We've got a lightweight topic to discuss this week with research methodology, which just continues the uh, the dissertation support I've been providing. Um, and then we're going to talk about the residency weekend, which for the first time is a virtual session being held over Blackboard Collaborate. We'll do a couple of practice sessions this week. One in the evening. I'll do one Tuesday evening and one um, Thursday at noon Central Time. And again, I live in Arkansas. I work at the University of Central Arkansas. So that's my time frame. Some of the word that I got from the university was in Eastern Standard Time, and we're in daylight savings time now. So a little confusion as to the timing of the schedule. So keep in touch. Um, Check your email more than once a day, and we'll make this work. Okay. Um, Responding to a situation like this coronavirus and institutions being sent home and the NBA being canceled. The rest of the NBA season's canceled. March Madness basketball is canceled. They canceled the Cher concert in Little Rock last night. I mean, if you can't go see Cher, that's a tragedy. So anyway, I uh, I'm doing everything I can to compensate both at my own Arkansas Coding Academy. We've gone online with Blackboard Collaborate. Luckily, I've been using Blackboard for these kind of teaching engagements, so it wasn't hard to put my little programming schoolhouse onto Blackboard. So anyway, we're going to talk about the residency weekend and then research methodology. So I guess I have my title slide backwards here, but it's been a hectic weekend. Um, keep in touch, guys. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to tell you what to expect next weekend. And again, I just found this out. So I'm putting things together on the fly somewhat. I did an in-person residency with the University of Cumberland's in the fall in Dallas. So I'm just going to replicate basically what we did there. And I had 54 students, 54, I think. Uh, it was uh, it was huge. I've only got one section this time, and there's only what I think 11 of you still participating. So we'll talk about how it's going to roll next weekend, and then just for this week's content, we'll talk about research methodology, which is really the way you conduct your research. Um, there are established methods, schools of thought, traditions. They're called often quantitative tradition, qualitative tradition. Uh, the lines are blurred in research methodology. It's difficult to find bright lines when describing these things. So we'll talk about that. Let's see. Okay, so this is normally the schedule, um, kind of the flow, but as we get towards Friday night, I'm likely to have to refine this, but this gives you a general idea of what we're doing. Um, we work 5 hard hours on a Friday night, and then we reconvene Saturday morning and work for 4 hours, and then we take an hour and a half lunch, and then we work for another 4.5 hours, and then we convene Sunday morning at 8 again, and we work 5 hours presenting the findings of our research projects. You'll all do an individual research project, and you'll hand in um, a written paper, 3 to 5 pages, and then you will share your screen. I'll make you all moderators in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra so that you can share your screen with us. And make it work. So you're going to want to do whatever you have to do to make sure you're in an area with strong Wi-Fi for the entire weekend. If you can't, there's a makeup session, I believe, the following weekend. And if you still can't do the online thing, you'll have to go to Kentucky in order to complete the course. And that is just the way it is. I don't like it any more than you do, but I'm going to make it work because that's what we do in times of crisis like this. We make it work, make it happen. Uh, it's going to be just fine, guys. It'll be just fine. We'll be working much more closely with each other, um, a lot more synchronously. I'll be asking questions, and you'll be able to ask questions of me in real time. It'd be way better than when I ask you questions and I never get an answer. It's going to be way better than that. I can't wait for that part. Okay, so that's the basic schedule. Half a day Friday night, half a day Sunday morning, and all day Saturday. Okay, so you'll complete 3 assignments, 60% of your course grade. Um, when we get together. The research paper and research presentation are 200 points each. The presentation is basically just talking us through elements of your research paper and presenting it in PowerPoint. Um, and then a practical connection assignment. This is where you will tie the course content, all the course content, not just the residency weekend, but everything we've covered and everything that you see we're going to cover in the syllabus. Um, you connect it. You describe how it impacts um, your current professional thinking and your what you learned and how you apply it at work. Um, so this is a very free form. It's not a tightly formatted APA paper. It's really just a 1 to 2 page note from you to me, like, hey, Dr. Walker, I learned, you know, this topic and IT trends, and that really helped me at work because I work on big data or cloud computing or cybersecurity or whatever the case may be. Or maybe the what really helped you the most was the dissertation support, being able to think about, what problem am I going to work on, and who says it's a problem? I can't say it's a problem. You can't say it's a problem. You got to go into the literature and find where the experts say it's a problem. So it could be these, research question, problem statement, purpose statement, research methodologies. It could be that these things are what you want to do your practical connection assignment on. Now, here um, I will tell you that you can start writing that memo. You can connect the content in this class to your current professional world and how it affected you. You can start doing that this week. You don't have to wait until the residency weekend to start writing and get your notes together and everything. And then, like I said, I'll be live most of the time, sitting here at my desk in my office uh, for the um, for the residency weekend, and you'll be able to ask me, hey, I'm thinking of writing about this for the practical connection assignment. Um, we can, maybe private message, or you could shoot me an email, and I could work on that offline as opposed to talking amongst the group. I don't really know how to do private uh, video and audio conversations while a class is happening in Collaborate Ultra. If I figure out how to do that all at the same time, like a private video call room, this week, I'll implement it with the classroom. Um, so yeah, these are your assignments, and much, much, much more detail on Friday night. I'll go into great detail, but check it out, guys. This is 60% of your course grade, and you know how much I'm always accenting and emphasizing originality. There's going to be nowhere to hide this weekend. So if you've been kind of cutting and pasting and rewording and all of that, you're going to have to explain things in real time during this residency weekend. So I encourage you to bring your best game, bring your best effort. Because if I see some nonsense in your paper, I'm going to paste it into the classroom, and you're going to tell us what you meant by that. So when I keep saying write plainly and simply and within your grasp of the topic and your grasp of the language, I mean it. No more this weekend will not do well with faking it. Okay, enough about that. Okay, your research paper, 3 to 5 pages, of course, APA. I'd like to see 6 scholarly references. Again, originality is the key. And I'm going to assign a topic, and of course, right now, you know, March. Well, it's the 15th, Sunday the 15th. It'll be the 16th soon. Um, 2020 is a significant event in the world of globalization, hugely impacted by information systems. So think about that. Think about that. What area of information systems um, are you familiar with that you might like to write about in the in the setting of a global pandemic where people are being encouraged to stay home. What's the impact to information systems? Like right now, we were going to meet in person, but we're not. We're meeting via the computer. You could research the effectiveness of distance collaboration like this versus for in person. You're going to be getting into the literature about that. You could do a research project on um, big data analysis of the coronavirus. You can bring in background material from existing literature, but then you can bring in, no kidding, current literature that's being published by reputable websites. And it's going to require analysis, guys. This is PhD level weekend we're going to have here. Um, so your ability to pull in information and tell a coherent story in writing is going to be key. Um, Practice is over. I'm losing patience with less than doctoral level work occasionally. So those of you that are doing well, awesome. Those of you that have been struggling, it's time to devote the energy and time to the program. And I'm here to help you get through this. I'm here to help you do well. That's what they're paying me for. That's why I teach college, is to help you improve. It's impossible for me to help people that will not answer questions on email, won't explain things, won't contact me. But like I said, if you're gonna pass this course this weekend, there's just us. It's just us, just colleagues working together to do better. So if you want to propose a topic that you can frame in light of current events, but also, in your area of study, your area of expertise, where you're working, um, shoot me an email by Wednesday, because no kidding, I'm going to be working on topics, and I'm just going to assign them randomly. I'm not going to go into your resume and try and find something that I think you're just perfectly suited for. There's just not enough time. So you let me know if you want to do a topic. Um, and then, like I said, check your email, check it 3, 4 times a day. If we're having a conversation back and forth, I don't want a lot of lag in between your questions of me or my questions of you. So I'll be on email frequently this week, um, a lot. all day, getting ready for what's coming up. And you need to stay tuned to your email for messages from the university because they'll be updating you on policies and timing and whatnot. Okay, so that's the paper. That's what we'll do. Then you will share your screen, do a short PowerPoint. You'll provide just short bullets like I do here on this screen. But then if you need a script to read to, that you want to put some sentences down there um, that you would like to make sure you don't mess up, or forget. Put them in the speaker notes, like I have all term, and I'm always telling you download my slides because there's resources in the speaker notes. I'll provide a template, more on that again this weekend. The whole point of this is to take questions. So as people are presenting their research paper, um, be thinking of questions, and I'll figure out some sort of way people can raise their hand, um, and we'll work like that. Okay. So, oh hey, one note before I forget. Um, when you're listening and you're not talking, mute your microphone. There's in Blackboard Collaborate, there's a symbol for your microphone. Make sure the the slash is through it so it's muted. Um, yeah, it keeps the echo and a lot of background noise out of the classroom. And your presentation will be 10 minutes, ideally, ideally no less, and ideally no more than 15. We've got, like I said, 10 or 11 folks to get through, and we got a few hours on Sunday morning to do it. So we don't want to put too much time into it, but you can't get this done in a minute. Okay, so be ready to talk some. Alrighty. Uh, you're probably seeing attendance requirements coming from the university. I'm sure you are. I got an email that stipulated that you must have video capability. So whatever you got to do between now and the weekend, make sure you've got a web camera. I'm currently on my desktop computer in my home office, nice and private. There's my guitar collection. Woohoo! My shelf full of academic materials. So I'm nice and quiet and dedicated to you guys. Um, you'll need a camera. I've got this camera and a laptop, so I've got redundancy. If your internet tweaks out, which it does every once in a while, you'll need to disconnect and come back in. Don't be gone long. Don't stray. Um, you'll need a photo ID. I have to verify. No kidding. I guess this is for uh, immigration rules. No kidding. I need to see a driver's license or a passport photo along with your face a bunch of times here. Check it out. Look at all the times that we'll be checking in for attendance. 3 times on Friday, 5 times on Saturday, and twice on Sunday. So there you go. Make sure you've got your photo ID and um, redundancy as far as your internet and your camera and everything. Okay, now look at this third bullet here, guys. Um, don't be late. Okay, I get just a bunch of excuses. Um, oh, my internet was down. Oh, people coming back in the fall in Dallas. Uh, More people would come back late from break than would come back on time. Um, and I'm not going to count you if you're not online at 5, 8, and 10 p.m. and 8 and 11:45. When I go to take attendance, if you're not there, you're not there. You didn't make the session. You got to do the makeup. So I don't care. All right. Don't be late. Be early. I'll have these rooms open, wide open, um, open sessions. Um, so you'll see when you go into Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, you'll see these sessions. Like I said, we're going to do 2 practices this week. Um, Make sure you understand how this works. Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, you go to Tools in the classroom, down in the lower left-hand corner, Tools, and click on Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and you'll see the sessions. It's your PhD students, guys. Okay, it, I don't need to say anymore. So everybody be on time. Everybody get to know Blackboard Collaborate Ultra this week. It'll be fine. So anyway, there's your check-ins. Okay, so that's the residency weekend. Again, more to follow this week. Stay tuned. Stay attuned to your email. Now, research methodologies. This is this week's topic, just a light topic. You probably already know a lot of this, whether or not you've seen. I mean, I had heard of these terms. I'd heard of quantitative research. I had heard of qualitative measures, but there's more information. So make sure you're downloading the slides and looking at links that I put in the speaker notes. Um, the all of these terms are a Google away. There's just a ridiculous amount of information out there to be had. Um, so uh, a methodology, so research is an activity that finds out things, discovers something that you didn't know. Okay, methodology is a philosophical framework. Okay, and there's basically 2 traditions. Okay, there's quantitative, which is what you're probably used to, where you have hypotheses and you collect data against them, and you have the null hypothesis against which you measure your data and see um, if it bears out. You have other research hypotheses to see if your data proves or disproves with an amount of confidence. That's where it brings in all of the um, you can't there are what descriptive statistics in your data, but then you'll also get into inferential statistics where you can infer to a larger group that your data is significant. So yeah, we got quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is where you measure the facts, the numbers. It's kind of hard to beg your pardon. Um, Qualitative is much more um, about the quality of something. I did a qualitative study for my dissertation, and I was exploring. So qualitative lets you collect data. There are people that have done qualitative assessments of old photographs and looked for certain elements of things in those photographs. You can comb through documents, old documents, news stories, and pull out keywords and phenomena inside. So qualitative is much more um, soft, and it requires the researcher to do a lot more exploring and thinking and a different kind of analysis than just the pure statistical measures in quantitative. So they both have merit. Some people are worried about the validity of qualitative research. That's something you can read about yourself and see what you think. And then there's mixed method. There's explanatory, exploratory. One is you collect qualitative data, you kind of find out about a phenomenon, and then you go collect quantitative data to measure against it. So it's that you mix those 2 methods, and then another one's you collect quantitative data that says something, that says that um, people that people that live in America don't live as long as people that live on Okinawa. And then you can do a qualitative exploration to find out why that is. You do the quantitative measure and then you kind of go exploring qualitatively to find out maybe why, and that gets a little, like I said, a little softer. So there's lots and lots and lots of information out there in both of those methodologies. I encourage you to think about them both, because they're going to affect you greatly when you go to do your dissertation. Quantitative studies generally use a theory, and you gather data to see if the theory is true. We could do, say, technology acceptance model. Go out and look at a theory called the TAM, TAM, technology acceptance model. Um, we could talk about emerging technologies like maybe drones. We've been hearing about drones for just a few years now. Um, some people reject them, and then you got early adopters, and then it gradually becomes, So you could test against a theory with a quantitative study. It's tougher with qual to test against a theory. Generally speaking, quantitative studies are one of four specific designs. Remember, quantitative is a tradition, but within that tradition, you've got descriptive, experimental, quasi-experimental, or relationship-based designs. And again, you can check the links for those. They rely on statistical methods heavily. That's really what they are. And these are all the studies, like, testing a drug against a placebo, a control group. Those are, you know, textbook quantitative studies. Um, and the techniques, you see, the research questions and the hypotheses and all that, are very, very specific, where qualitative is, it's just kind of like asking a question. You know, how what are the lived experiences of people after the tsunami hit, you know, Indonesia and Japan? That's what are the lived experiences. That's good research. You want to go find out about what happened to people. You could say, what are what are the lifestyles of people, 5 years after the Arab Spring? And you could just go to these countries that overthrew their dictator, like Muammar Gaddafi and Hosni Mubarak, and you could just go ask them, what are things like now? And you still gather qualitative data, but quantitative is much more specific. So here we go. Qualitative is descriptive, non-numeric. You don't generally test a theory because it's too hard to do the reliability and correlation and things, that you do with statistics. They're used primarily when we're talking about people, really, social studies or social aspect of information technology. And like I said, they require special attention to validity. Other researchers will potentially shoot holes in your research. They generally embrace one of the following designs: phenomenology. That's what I did. The phenomenon of using enterprise social media in an organization with intentionally high turnover. Uh, I suggest you read my uh, dissertation if you haven't already. Ethnography, looking at certain groups. Grounded theory, case studies. Case studies are great, um, but it's hard to extrapolate from there. Um, it's just one thing that happened, and you take it for what it's worth. You don't necessarily say that it's authoritative, but those are those. And then you got mixed methods here. Won't go into that in any detail. Um, Things for you to consider uh, going forward with research methodologies and how you treat them, how you think of them. The research question really drives the methodology. If you ask questions like, what's the relationship between something, you might be able to craft it. It might lean towards quantitative, but then if you start saying, what are the experiences of, what are the opinions of people, and they start using a lot of descriptive language that's just really, it's not like a survey on a 1 through 7 Likert scale, strongly agree to disagree to strongly disagree. It's qualitative's a lot more exploratory. So your question, what you want to find out, and your problem set will really drive your methodology, not the other way around. Um, And as you're thinking of your project, getting access to the data, whether it's getting enough survey respondents or generating a some of my previous students were going to write an algorithm that did something differently than a previous algorithm, and they were gonna need test scaffolding in the software in order to come up, to show the output of both systems. So remember data. Data is what you're going to use. Whether getting enough in a qualitative study, getting enough folks to interview that are in the right population with the right qualifications can be difficult. Getting access to those people, depending on where they are and whether or not they're able or willing to talk to you. If you were, I mean, this is an IT program, so you're not going to do this, but if you were a sociologist and you wanted to do a research project on prisoners, you might have difficulty accessing a prison population. So be thinking about your data and what data will feed your project. And then, of course, everything you do has got to be approved by the institutional review board at the university and your research, your chairman, your committee chair or research supervisor. Um, so everything you do, you're going to have to like describe what you're doing originally, and it's got to make sense. So honestly, guys, these little term papers, some of you are kind of not really taking real seriously, because it's not worth a whole lot of points. But um, no kidding. Moving forward in your dissertation journey, it's time to write at the doctoral level, and I know that's a challenge, but that's the nature of the beast that is your doctoral journey. Okay. So this is the discussion question. It goes back to previous discussion questions and papers. Some of you, I had to say, I don't understand. This does not make any sense. You didn't address the instructions. So this gives you a second chance um, to tell us what's the area of IT that you'd like to study, and if you can focus that on a problem area, that would be even better. Um, and what is a current research question that you've been thinking about? I've been talking about this the whole term. What is a research? And I gave you background material on it. What is your current research question? And then, more pertinent to this week's discussion, what methodology or methodologies do you think would be appropriate to address your research question? Remember, the research question drives the methodology. And that, if I'm unclear, this information is freely available all over the internet from reliable sources. If you need to hear it from more than me, it's on YouTube, it's on university websites. I provided links and links and links. If you got questions, you want to run one by me before you post it in discussion Thursday night or before Thursday night, you're welcome to email me. As always, you guys, a lot of you, I've never heard from you. I I do these lectures. I see your names. I grade your papers every week. I've sent you emails asking you to explain things. I've never heard a word back from some of you. So I mean, I see your assignments coming in occasionally or regularly, but I can ask you a question and you'll ignore me, which is somewhat frustrating for me. I'm trying to help and be an interactive faculty member, and I'm being treated like some sort of stranger or stalker or something. It's pretty annoying, but we'll be over that this weekend, won't we? Because there's nowhere for either of us to go but online classroom. So again, Blackboard, Collaborate Ultra in the tools menu of your classroom. We're going to have a session Tuesday evening. I'm going to go ahead and say 7 p.m. Central Time, Tuesday evening. And then we'll do one at noon Central Time on Thursday. Okay? And make sure you're hitting your discussion question there. In conclusion, before spring break, I was still seeing article spinning. Just nonsense. Nonsense. Um, I know it's tough. It's got to be tough for you guys being non native English speakers. But I can't help that. I cannot help. I can admire you. I can encourage you. I can help you. But I can't change the fact that you're taking a doctoral level program in the United States, and it's an English language. And all academic writing, come on, guys, all this stuff's in English anyway. So, um, uh, yeah, gonna have to bring your A game, your A game. Okay, you'll become more familiar with research methodologies. It'll be in their focused classes. I just want to make sure you're thinking about things before you get there. If you've already done a little background work, then you can use future courses to really shape things, and you can ask really, really good questions because you've already thought it over, and you can use that professor's time to, no kidding, kind of like finalize your approach where no kidding, it's pretty solid. Okay, guys, check your email. Check it often. Okay. Um, I'll be in touch.